Hello and welcome to Chaotic Riff Magazine. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and we're speaking with drummer Andrea Labelle. How you doing today, Andrea?
Doing all right, man.
Now, of course, like a lot of people, I know of you from when you were working with Vinnie Vincent and Robert Fleischman. So, first, I want to ask you because when you were working with Vinnie Vincent, it was for I think the album was called Guitars from Hell. And it's never officially been released. There's been talk that he may be releasing that soon. So were you initially hired just as a session player with him, or was there plans to take it on the road?
There were plans to go on the road if the record came out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He was having difficulties with Enigma Records.
Yeah.
He had, I believe he used the budget up, and he wanted to go back and re-record things.
Wow.
It's kind of a blessing and a curse because he's really meticulous in trying to get it to sound exactly the way he heard it in his head, which is great.
Yeah.
But he went to the point to where he used the budget and still wanted to make changes.
Yeah.
And it just never seemed to end. I thought the record was sounding incredible. We were listening to the playbacks numerous times in the studio, and even at his house, he would play the stuff, and we would make adjustments as far as like what we might want to do for the next tracks. I think you got me thinking about it now that he's just never really satisfied.
It's sad because a lot of it is leaked onto YouTube, and what I've heard of it, I think, man, it's a shame that's never been released. I mean, there's been talk that he's supposedly put out a new album. There's talk that it may be that album, not really a new one. But I think even if that was the case, I think a lot of the fans would dig it. It's a shame, and especially being that Robert Fleischman was part of that too. I mean, I think of all the Vinnie Vincent
was just roaring, man. He sounded so great on every track.
I mean, I gotta say, going all the way back to the Vinnie Vincent stuff, my favorite album, of course, at least to me, is the debut album. I think him and Robert really seem to have a magic chemistry. It's a shame it didn't, that they weren't that he wasn't able to keep it together as far as Vinnie.
Robert is a very unique situation. I mean, if you listen to his voice when he was singing with Journey, at that outdoor festival, there's a video of that on YouTube. I think it was like 77 or 76.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sounds like a skinny white Aretha Franklin or something.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable what that guy was doing with his voice.
Yeah.
And he just hit a lot of bumps in the road with the business, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it has so much to do with backing and all this.
Oh, sure.
I mean, if you don't, like, I remember Vinny saying was trouble with Enigma Records, that he was going to possibly go to Hollywood Records, and he was looking around, and I'm young and naive, so I was saying, well, man, this record is so great, and it's going to do really good anyway, man. It probably doesn't matter who you get with. You just got to get this thing out. And he was laughing about the idea that I didn't realize that it was all about how much money was put behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that these days, if you put something out that's incredible and people are going to love it, then they're going to find it and hear it, and it's going to be successful regardless of whether you have a label behind it. But even that's not true.
Sure.
Because you're lost in a sea of bands releasing songs. As we speak, somebody's releasing 100 records across the globe on the internet.
Yeah. And you made a couple of good points, because I even remember, as before you were actually ever involved with Vinnie Vincent, I remember as they were releasing the second Vinnie Vincent album, and they were playing, you see this stuff all in retrospect to kind of realize what was going on at the time. As far as, like, I remember seeing the video for Love Hurts on MTV, and it said, like, it's kind of strange, Vinnie Vincent Invasion featuring Mark Slaughter, but supposedly the record company was kind of they were behind the scenes trying to make it into the Mark Slaughter band, and that's kind of what happened. Nothing against Mark, because I think he's a super huge talent in his own in his own right. And
Mark is incredible.
I love that Slaughter stuff. So So again, thank you, Vinnie Vincent, for all of that. But I was curious, how did you first, come to work with him? Did somebody recommend you, or?
I was abducted by aliens, and Vinny is an alien.
Wow.
That's what happened. That makeup design and all, that's real stuff. That's just skin.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And yeah, I got you. But great rock and roll tales. But yeah.
He was friends with it was Rick Barcelona, the engineer at Grandmaster Studios, which was on Kawanga Street. I can't believe I remember the name of that.
Yeah.
So you're going down Sunset Boulevard from where all the clubs are, and you go up about 2.5, 3 miles, and you take a left on Kawanga, and it was on the right. And that engineer was good friends with Michael Marnock, who's the guitar player from Steppenwolf.
Oh, okay. Yes. Wow.
I had met Michael in Guitar Center, and we started jamming together. And I'm at his house, and he's putting in VHS cassette tapes of him on the Ed Sullivan shows.
Oh, really wow.
Because
yeah.
I'm 23 years old.
Yeah.
And that was just like iconic. I mean, I'm sitting here with a guy that's on that show with Ed Sullivan, and I'm watching it with him. It was really cool. But long story short, he knew just about everybody in town because of that legacy that he had with Steppenwolf.
Oh, sure.
And he referred me to Vinny, but he referred me like a year after I jammed with him, and I hadn't even thought about anything regarding Michael referring me, and Vinny just called me out of the blue.
Wow.
And he said, "You may not know who I am, but this is Vinnie Vincent, play with Kiss, yada yada."
Yeah.
And it just went from there. I went and did an audition, and I got the gig. And then I signed a contract with him that was limited, It wasn't like a multiple year contract or anything. I was being hired to record the record and to tour on it. But and then I met Robert through it, of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And there's a lot of hanging, because how long does it really take to record the drum tracks? And,
Sure.
And I understand the studio time is expensive, and I want to try to get in there and do in 1 take, 2 takes, But there's a lot of just hanging around, and Robert and I would go out and get something to eat, or walk down to the Hollywood magazine rack and look at mags, and a lot of that sitting around hanging thing, which was a lot of fun, And Vinny was really a kind, fun person.
Yeah.
It's almost as if, like, the stuff that people talk about him. It's not that he's really a dick in the way he acts, or the way he talks or communicates with people.
Yeah.
He's not aggressive in that way at all.
Yeah.
It's just in things that he's done that's upset people with not releasing the box set and not giving them a return on it, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you were hanging with Vinny, he's just as polite and kind as you would ever be.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting to hear you had that kind of relationship with him, because a lot of people, talk of other stuff. I'll give you a perfect example, like Bobby Rock, who's like another powerhouse drummer. Of course, was
he's incredible, man.
The original drummer. But he's talked over years how Vinny, had this thing about he'd much rather play like to a drum, like electric drum kit than an actual live drummer, which I think is kind of, that's kind of, you don't hear that a lot. And
he's scared of drummers.
Yeah.
And he can only handle the responsibility of communicating with a plastic box.
But
he's a plastic box guy.
I mean, I guess my question is, you obviously didn't have that relationship with him, which is kind of unique. But I mean, two things. I think two guys that maybe never really had a seemed to get along with him pretty well was you and Robert. I mean, Robert, like, he bowed out of a gig they had a few years ago because of some business issues he had with Vinny. But I've never heard of him.
It was with Carmen Apiece.
Yeah.
Drums,
yeah. And so who knows? But it's amazing that you were able to have that kind of relationship with him. And then I guess one day, if the album's recorded, nothing really happens, so you just kind of move on. But I know one of the other things you did since then is, speaking of Robert Fleischman, you were involved with his band, The Sky. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I did 2 records with Robert. Yeah. I had moved back to Virginia, and I was raising my daughter here. I mean, she's 25 years old now.
Oh, wow. But, yeah.
So I'm living here, and my wife and I, and Holly, my daughter.
Yeah.
And Robert gives me a call, and we start talking again. Or I think, I had called him to congratulate him on getting that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Walk of Fame.
With the Journey, yeah.
The Run of Fame.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was something to do with fame, I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I know you, with Journey. Yeah.
And he started talking music again. We just started getting into the idea of recording, and it's kind of a long story, but he decided to move to Virginia to record the record.
Oh, wow.
Because I know a lot of studios around Virginia that we could record at. So he moved here. He was just going to move here briefly and do the record. But then when he got here, he fell in love with Virginia, and his wife loved it, and they stayed for like a few years. Yeah. So that's how we ended up doing a second record. But even then, I mean, back to that thing that, what's a good metaphor? It's like, you got to forgive me, man. I'm getting over a bit of a head cold.
Oh, yeah.
I told you that before. That's what we were going to do it. And I was like, kind of, trying to get out of that funk.
Okay. But, take your time. Yeah.
Anyway, he wanted to record, so we got together and started rolling with that. But it has to do with that whole backing thing, the money.
Yeah.
I mean, first and foremost, to record the record cost a lot of money. To get it to sound that good and all.
Yeah, sure.
They're just sounds.
Yeah.
It's like you hit the snare, it's going to make a pop. You hit the bass drum, it's got a thud, But that thud of the bass drum, there's endless, it's a rabbit hole of sounds that it could be within just different frequency adjustments and all shit,
Yeah.
And then those tones actually affect the tone of the bass guitar or the guitar itself. Like if the mid-range frequencies within the kick drum are not compatible with the frequencies and the bass guitar, then they'll kind of cancel each other out, and then it's like the bass drum was sounding great by itself, but now it doesn't sound good anymore with the frequencies that the bass guitar played upon it. It's super complicated,
Oh, sure.
So all the time and money spent on doing recording the record itself, and if you're fronting the money yourself, I mean, good God, I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. Not even knowing if you're going to get a return.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's a shame, but that's kind of the state of a music industry.
That's why back in the day, it's like you got a record deal.
Yeah.
The whole idea is that, the record deal's really like a bank loan. The record company's going to pay for everything you need, get the record recorded. Hopefully you got a good budget, and you don't burn through the budget, and you get everything done in the studio that you need done to get it to sound great. And then all the budget for promotion, and that's what Vinnie was kind of teasing me about. It's like, I forgot how he put it, but it was something like, there's no point in even releasing the record if we don't have a budget for promotion, because nobody's going to even know about it.
Because I remember back in '96 when that album was supposed to come out, there was like a kind of a preview EP that came out, Euphoria, with some of the songs on there, and I remember getting that and just thinking, oh man, this is as good as the the debut Vinnie Vincent album. And
Skip got Robert Fleischman singing on it. I was super excited. And I'm a huge Kiss fan. I grew up with Kiss as a kid. It's the reason I started playing drums. I'm not ashamed to admit it at all.
Oh, sure.
I was 8 years old in 1976. And anyway, it was extremely disappointing, but at the same time, I understood what was happening. It's, a good metaphor would be, you and I create a candy bar that's better than any candy bar out there. It's, but if you don't get it on the shelf of 7-Eleven, you can forget about it.
Oh, sure.
Nowadays, it's different because you got the internet to market and all. But you're a grain of sand
Oh, sure. And you mentioned being a huge Kiss fan, as am I. And I mean, who's not? I mean, Kiss is celebrating like 50 years together. Can you believe that they're finally getting ready to wind it down, maybe? And have you found that? I know, to be honest, it's one of the reasons I reached out to you. That having that Kiss connection, however slight it may be, that people are kind of interested in talking to you just because of that little Kiss connection that you kind of have, if you know what I mean.
What do you mean? I thought you wanted to talk to me because I was fast with my...
Well, that too, but I guess.
Have you heard my paradiddle?
Yeah. I guess what I'm asking, like, for example, is like.
No, I agree, man.
Yeah.
100%. You're right on the money.
Yeah.
I've thought about that. 100 times. I think it was some kind of a gift.
Yeah. I mean, Kiss fans are really rabid like that. I mean, for example, you take a guy like John Corabi, huge talent in his own right, but just the simple fact that he played in a band with Bruce Kulick, anybody that's a Kiss fan, I'm going to check out whatever he does. Or, you might even get invited.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It was an absolute blessing. It really was.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a story that's kind of it's serendipitous, and it's a little bit kind of supernatural if you want to hear it.
Sure.
I'm getting to the age where it really doesn't bother me anymore. I remember I did interviews years ago where I thought, I probably don't want to tell this story because some people don't believe in such, but, I'm 57 years old.
Yeah.
And I really don't care what other people believe in. I mean, I do. I hope they believe in the right thing and they're going to be okay. I hope we're all going to be okay. But, I had a situation happen when I was young, where both my parents died close, within time of each other, and I'm a huge Kiss fan, So, and my father is an artist; he's a painter. So the reason I'm able to play drums and that I have the support is because my father is a painter and he loves art. His wife, my mother, has passed away.
Yeah.
And it's just him and his two boys. My brother's a couple of years older than me. And we had a band together, so he's super excited, putting all his energy into the band that we're doing. And I'm like 11 years old. We were playing bars when I was 12.
Wow.
And doing well, too, packing out. It was like this weird little prodigy thing where these young kids were, kicking ass in the bars around Virginia.
Yeah, wow.
And so my father passes away, and maybe, about 2.5, 3 years after he passed away, I'm like 16, close to 17, and Kiss is playing the Hampton Coliseum in Virginia, and I went with a friend, and we got there early, to where we found where the hotels were.
Okay.
And that's a typical thing. A lot of fans used to do that. I don't know how young you are, whether you're aware of that, but it's like you get down there early, figure out what hotel room the band was staying at,
Yeah, a lot easier to do back then, yeah.
Yeah, hope to meet him or whatever.
Yeah.
And, with me, obviously, I'm thinking maybe I'll meet somebody in Kiss and they'll help me out and I'll get a gig, or, I'm thinking.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
So, anyway, Vinnie was standing outside the hotel in front of one of the limos, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like 16,
Wow.
My friend is like a year older. He was driving, and I started to I got emotional. I was like, man, look at that. This guy that plays guitar really good, and he's playing with Kiss. He got the gig. I mean, nobody knew of him that much before. I think he did some stuff with songwriting. He did a disco song that had some airplay.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I'm like kind of getting emotional and worked up, and I actually started crying. And you don't want to do that in front of your friends. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
When you're 16, especially, you don't want to do that. But it's like I couldn't control it because I started thinking about the fact that I was an orphan and all of this, and what the hell am I gonna do? It's kind of for some reason hit me at that moment. Looking at Vinnie standing in front of the limo, and we're sitting in the car, parked a ways back from the limousines.
And how ironic!
So
wow.
Years later, I'm in California, and Michael ends up referring me to Vinnie, and Vinnie calls me up, but I wasn't pursuing anybody in Kiss at that time.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to get a gig with somebody in Kiss. I still love Kiss, and I was a huge fan.
Sure.
Kiss was at this point it was a different kind of stage. stage.
Yeah.
I mean, I fell in love with the old Kiss with the makeup and everything, and you know, the even the fact that it was the original members, you know. But as I got older, I really wasn't into it, where it was the MTV era. They were more so trying to do what all the hair bands were doing on MTV. So it really wasn't even Kiss anymore.
Oh, sure. I mean, as we sit here talking, Andre, do you believe that was like 40 years ago when Kiss took the makeup off?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, Vinnie was with the band when they took it off. But yeah, man. So I'm blown away that Vinnie is calling me up.
I bet. Like, did you ever tell him? You ever tell him that story?
I wasn't pursuing any of it.
Yeah, sure. Did you ever share that story with him?
Oh yeah. You know, much later.
Oh, sure.
Because I spoke to him about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I've taken too much cold medicine. My head's a little foggy with the actual dates and such. But I was going to play with him during this thing that he did after it didn't work out with Carmen de Peace.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You know, but anyway, that didn't work out. I'll tell you about that in a bit. But yeah, man, the idea that the coincidence of me kind of breaking down with that situation when I was 16, and it was related to Vinnie, like the idea of telling my friend that, I mean, there he is, man, this guy we didn't even know who he was, and he's getting in the women with Kiss. There's got to be a way I can make this happen, and all, you know. And then I end up getting the gig with him through no effort of my own at all. I thought was extremely bizarre, because there's a few other things that happened that just seemed too coincidental.
Wow.
You know, so
I love stuff like that.
I sometimes think that, I mean, I don't know how it works. We're on a blue ball of dirt orbiting a minor star in infinity. We can't even figure out the basics. But something is going on where there can be some kind of reasoning, or maybe I'm not saying that somebody is making stuff happen. I mean, maybe we're the ones making it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think a better word maybe is, some people might say faith or destiny, you know. It's kind of in the cards, and you have nothing to really say or do about it. It's just kind of there. It happens.
Well, I mean, relating to what you said earlier about, like, you know, how did I get that gig, and what was the idea behind it? I mean, to me, it seemed like it was a gift.
Yeah, oh sure. Yeah, sure. And I love the fact that you look at it that way, and you know, like...
oh, God, I'm a, you know, a big cut-up, but I take that stuff seriously.
Oh, sure.
It's like, music is an extremely powerful thing, man. It's one of the few things we have, if not the only thing that we can use to communicate with our emotions that actually touches other people's emotions.
Oh, sure. And you know,
other people's emotions, yeah.
And you know, it's interesting. Like I said, a lot of Kiss fans will tell you that, again, anybody that's got even like the slightest Kiss connection, there will be an interest in you. And it's kind of interesting talking to you, Andre, because again, I can go on your Facebook page and I can see pictures of what you look like and stuff. But you know, up until doing that, I was aware of the name Andre Labelle, knowing that you were a drummer that played with Vinnie Vincent and Robert Fleischman. Didn't really have an idea, like say, like I know what Bobby Rock, let's say, looks like, but yet because you played with Vinnie Vincent, even no matter how brief it was, people are aware of the name, which I think is a little more interesting, if you get my point I'm trying to make, than being able to...
It was definitely a gift. But then again, I mean, Vinnie was looking for a certain kind of a drummer.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have
the skill...
Well, I mean, I wasn't even going to say skills. I mean, there could have been drummers that were better than me that auditioned, but for some reason he didn't like the feel of their playing.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, that feel thing is pretty interesting. Well, it's actually extremely interesting how you can play a little bit ahead or let it drag a little bit behind the beat. You can't go too far in either direction, or then it's out of time, or it's flamming with the tempo. But they say that Bonham played way behind the beat. You know, he would hit almost like with a relaxed kind of delay. And then, like Stuart Copeland from the Police played a bit ahead. He anticipated the hits, you know. And somehow the feel of the way I played was something that Vinnie liked. That has a lot to do with younger drummers that are coming up trying to get gigs.
Sure.
You could be a great drummer with flamboyant chops and all this stuff, great image and everything. But if you just play in a way that maybe the band you're auditioning for doesn't really favor, then they're going to choose somebody else. And there's really nothing you about
Oh, sure.
it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, even look at the, the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. I mean, on paper, a band like that, they're all stellar musicians. It looks like, okay, that's a killer band, and they all brought something to the band. I will say that, but. Eventually when the tensions start to rise and Vinny thinks maybe the other guys are, even if it's true or not, but, he's starting to feel maybe other guys are stabbing him in the back. There's tension between him and the other guys in the band. No matter how great of musicians, they may have been, once that tension starts to kind of creep in and maybe he doesn't trust the guy. And see, that's the interesting thing, like, the time that you and Robert were working with him, back in '96 or whenever the record was being recorded, like you guys apparently, he felt like he was able to trust you. So again, you may not be a top name drummer, but he had that connection with you. You know what I mean? And I think,
yeah, and that has so much to do with it too. That you could call it a spiritual connection, or just that we just as simply put as we became friends easily, and then, I've even thought, man, that relationships like that, it could have to do with
business.
When he was a kid. There was somebody he was friends with when he was like a little kid in school that kind of, for some reason, I reminded him of that person. And he's not even aware of it subconsciously, and then we get along and we become friends because of that. I mean, it can get deep, man. I know what you're saying, but those kind of things are in the cards. Whether or not you're going to get a break, I mean, because I'm sure there's a lot of bass players or drummers out there that's seen or heard that a drummer got a gig with a big time band that they would have loved to have had the opportunity to play with.
Sure.
And they knew they were a better drummer. They were more technically skilled. They had great feel and pocket, all that stuff. But they couldn't even get the audition.
Sure, yeah.
And that has to do with, I had to move to California.
Yeah.
I went through an awful lot to move out to LA.
I imagine.
So I could get around people and bump into Michael Marnock from Steppenwolf, and therefore he referred me to Vinnie Vincent. That stuff would have never happened if I stayed in Virginia.
Yeah.
So you got to have the talent and all, but you also have to be willing to sacrifice and do whatever it takes to make it happen. Are you willing to, like nowadays, it would be Nashville, move to Nashville. But it's kind of like a slot machine, because you could move out there and just somehow never get in contact with anybody that you hit it off with, or maybe the feel within your playing, like I was talking about, which another good metaphor on that is that we're both speaking English to communicate with each other.
Sure.
Just because I can speak English doesn't mean I can talk like Clint Eastwood in a movie.
Yeah.
The line could be real easy,
Sure.
Grab me that whiskey over there, son. Anybody could say the line, but I couldn't get in front of the camera and say it like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
And that's what these cats have.
Oh, sure.
They might just be going boom, tap, a boom, boom, tap on the bass drum and the snare drum, but the way it wobbles and the way it fits within that tempo and that feel, whether the snare is slightly rushed here or dragged there, the dynamics and where some of the hits are quieter than others, and all that stuff is kind of like the cadence of the way you talk, like a Morgan Freeman kind of thing, Oh
yeah, I mean, man, that guy's voice is so identifiable. I mean, it's just like, wow.
Well, think about it. If you get a guitar player, a bass player, a drummer, and a keyboardist, or whatever you're going to do, and all these guys have an individual spiritual character like that comes through their instrument.
Yeah.
You got this, the bass playing's got this magical movement and feel and tonality about it, and then the guitar has it in its own unique ways, and the drummer and everybody has it. That's where you got Led Zeppelins and such.
Oh, sure.
A lot of these younger people today, I was like, that's perfect. A lot of these younger people today, they don't understand that, you see.
Yeah.
They're thinking, well, the drumming's not perfect, so we'll just quantize it. You know what quantizing is?
Not really. No.
It's a new thing that's used. Well, not too new, but it wasn't happening when I was young recording. It's where they just run the whole thing through a computer system, and if you slightly mishit the floor tom or the kick drum was a little out of sync in this particular section of the song, it just combs over the whole song and makes every drum head perfect. Like a drum machine. But when you do that, you might as well have used a drum machine because you just took your drumming and turned it into a drum machine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's all just computerized perfect hits. But see, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Because the character of the way you play as a unique drummer or bass player comes through those little nuances, and also people that are using drum machines. There's no way you're going to get it through a drum machine.
Yeah, yeah. And so, Andre, let me ask you, what was the point in life when you decided that you wanted to take the route of being a session drummer? I mean, that's.
Are you asking? Why did I decide I wanted to be a session drummer?
Well, I know. Like I was reading on your webpage that you do a lot of sessions, obviously, and that's that's obviously a great way for a musician to make a living. I mean, was there a point where you decided that it's I don't know, it's easier way to make a living doing that than going out and auditioning for bands, and trying to.
Yeah, well, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. That I moved back to Virginia.
Oh, there you go.
I was fortunate. I made enough contacts to where Robert wanted to come out here, and then I've recorded with multiple other people. Like Andy Sussmill, I recorded with a German artist, incredible guitar player. He played with that band, Accept.
Okay. Yeah.
But his management flew me out to Germany, and I did shows with them out there. And there's a lot of stuff that's happened since I've been in Virginia. But I mean, to get a gig with a band that, Vinnie Vincent was the guitarist of Kiss. That's really big,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
To get a gig with any level of that kind of hype is you would have to live in one of those big cities and constantly be knocking on doors.
Sure. And I imagine being a session, type of player, you're playing with different people. So on one hand, it's a great way to keep your chops up, and another hand, it's you're playing with different people, and that's got to keep it fun and fresh.
Yeah, it is fun. I mean, it's more than just keeping your chops up, though, because you're actually recording a record that's going to be released.
Sure.
Listen to it for years and years to come.
Yeah.
The touring I would have loved to have done, but for some reason it didn't happen for me to tour with a band on the level of Kiss or something.
Sure.
That was obviously the dream for many, but that's also, I think that, what are the odds of even having anything like that happen?
Here's the thing with that.
It's so random, man.
I don't
consider myself I was lucky. I dropped a quarter in a slot machine and something came out.
Like you said, I don't belittle the fact that you recorded that album, Vinnie Vincent, didn't come out. See, like you said, you came. I don't know if you can say, but to me that's pretty close to achieving the dream, or at least getting your foot in the door a little bit. And even though that was so many years ago, the fact is, it's part of your story now. We're talking about it all these years later, so people are still interested in that.
That's cool. I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah. It's all cool stuff, man. But times it just keeps moving on.
Oh, sure. And that's a cool thing.
Eventually, we're just going to be skeletons.
Oh, sure. And see,
nothing is. Give it 1,000 years, and the Beatles is not even going to be remembered.
Oh yeah, before we wrap this up for today, I want to end on this note. That's the thing. It would have been a great story alone, Andre, if all you really done is done that one record with Vinnie Vincent and never came out. It's a great little footnote in your story. But what I dig about your story even more is that you continue to play, you continue to record music with people. It wasn't the end of your story. You're still doing it.
Well, that's cool. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. I've recorded tons of stuff over the years, some really good stuff from some bands that had no affiliation with anybody that was ever known.
Sure, but it's something,
And a lot of it was kind of disheartening because, I recorded with this band called Horsehead, and it's referring to one of those oil pumps. They called them horse heads because it looked like a big horse head pulling pulled the oil out of the ground with kind of like teeter-totter, But that band, their songwriting and everything about them was just incredible, man. They could have so easily sold a ton of records, but they didn't have the business thing in place. I mean, that it has so much to do with it. Man.
I mean, a great example. You know, we've talked a lot about Kiss today for obvious reasons, but like I said, Kiss is 50 years old. They're getting ready to maybe supposedly wind it down, and as much money as a band like Kiss makes, I mean, they're part of a kind of a modern. They were forced kind of become part of a modern, music industry. Meaning that I've heard Paul Stanley talk the last couple of years. Kiss could go and record some new music, but he's not really interested in that because, while he thinks he could do it, probably the album's not going to sell like it once would. You know, people aren't going to buy it like they would back in the day.
But I don't think it would ever happen again.
But like he's like, Kiss doesn't really need to do that. They can make money other ways. So Kiss is fortunate that way. But even a band like Kiss, not selling records like they used to.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all free on the internet now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I do gigs around town and with friends, and somebody will send me a set list of like 20 songs, and I can go right on YouTube and every single song on that list. I mean, even the obscure tracks, like an Elvis Costello track or something.
Sure.
Type it in YouTube. There it is. Somebody uploaded it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's all there, it's just free of charge, and it's YouTube. It isn't this Napster or whatever. It's none of this. It's just plain old YouTube.
Yeah, I mean,
the song you could think of is on there. Somebody's uploaded it.
Yeah, I mean, somebody was telling me the other day that in reference to like learning songs and how to play their instrument, like said, man, I don't even need to take lessons. I can just go learn on YouTube. That's
true too.
That's a modern.
Unfortunately, I teach drums as well. I mean, obviously, there's a lot to benefit from taking it from a teacher and having that person there.
Yeah.
Because there's also a spiritual connection involved with that.
Sure.
It's a different motivation when you actually have a person there communicating with you.
Yeah.
And but with any of that stuff, it has to do with whether or not you become addicted to practice.
Yeah.
That's all it really is. I think anybody can learn to play an instrument well, if they're just willing to set down a certain amount of time and repeat it, because it's just muscle memory. You just do it until eventually your brain says, okay, they're not going to stop doing this, so we're going to have to download this information in the frontal cortex, or whatever they call it.
I mean,
to where you're walking skills and stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, all your years of playing and performing, I think you're in a great position in life as far as you're somebody that could definitely teach somebody how to play the drums. Now, before I let you go, let's talk a little bit about that, because I did see something on your webpage that you not only teach drums, but you teach guitar. And so I was kind of interested. So what are your lessons like? Are they video lessons? Do you do it over Skype? Do people come to your studio?
This is done at a school. It's Chesterfield Tech Center. It's a school system type thing that's set up with it, which is really cool, because they have the auditorium and all of that.
Oh wow!
But the guitar thing, I would not even consider myself a guitar player. I have what they call campfire ability.
Oh, okay.
I could strum the guitar a bit and sound okay around a campfire. But that's why it's beginner guitar lessons. And if somebody wants to learn how to strum the guitar and learn enough chords and understanding to just play the instrument, so I can definitely give them that. And also because it has so much to do with rhythm.
Yeah.
People always segregate instruments, like, well, if you play drums, you don't know nothing about guitar. If you play bass, you don't know nothing about keyboards. But it's all the same. Even singing, it's like a cadence. I mean, even saying that, it's like a cadence. It's like a cadence. Da-da-da-da, right?
Wow.
Da-da-da-da. It's a cadence, Even the way we communicate, we use cadences. So if the guitar is going down, out, down, now I can't really play that, but I immediately recognize the rhythmical cadence of it. It's la da 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 da. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
So it's all kind of the same system when you're playing an instrument, But anyway, man, I'm kind of getting long-winded with this stuff now.
No, hey, I love this stuff. I love talking to guys about, like you, about stuff like this. Now, let me ask you, the very last thing we should probably touch base on before I let you go is, I reached out to you initially because I seen that you're going to appear at this year's Rockin' Pod event. So let's talk a little bit about how you got invited to take part and what do you have planned for that?
Yeah, man, that's right. Chris Sinzak. Chris he's just a super great guy. I mean, that has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah.
Earlier you were saying, that was really cool what you said earlier too, where it's just, some type of there's just a connection that can happen. But like, why is it that Vinny found me to be somebody he could work with? You know?
Yeah.
And well, Chris and I just hit it off in a way, and we have a mutual what's the word I should use? Interest in Vinnie Vincent.
Okay, yeah.
And I think Vinny kind of, I mean, I can't say that Vinny hurt Chris. I mean, I don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But he was going to have Vinny come out and do the Rocket Pot thing, but then Vinny started getting crazy with all the different
demands,
particulars and all of that, and it didn't work out, and Chris is pissed.
Yeah.
So Chris knew of me and somehow started chatting with me, and because of that thing that happened with him involving Vinny, he's like, well, man, I'd love to have you come to do one. And I was like, that would be incredible. So when then I started I did an interview with Chris's site, which is a Decibel Geek.
Okay. Yeah.
That podcast. And then this stuff started happening with the Rockin' Pod. Now, I mean, Chris, the dude's smart, and he's got a lot of good friends that trust him and believe in what he's doing, because he's rolling with that thing now.
He's got guys from Twisted Sister. I mean, each day they're
Billy Sheehan, Carmen Apiece, Greg Bissonette.
Yeah.
These guys were there.
Ron Keel.
And I was there too. It's like, yeah, man, Chris is just rolling. And I think that has a lot to do with, like, he just has a personality and a good heart, and people like the guy, man. Yeah. He's doing great with it, though.
Yeah, and again, I think what's cool about talking to you, Andre, I definitely got this feeling from talking to you about you're interesting too to talk to that somebody that's actually known and worked with Vinnie Vincent. You seem to have had somewhat of a positive connection. You don't seem to have anything, and I think it's kind of it says something about the guy. I mean, you had a different experience than a lot of people, and for whatever reason, that's your experience. And even though this guy Chris invited you, because Vinnie Vincent didn't end up, he invited him initially, and he didn't end up working out. Like you said, for whatever reason, I imagine that you're going to go to the event. If anybody asks you about Vinnie Vincent, I imagine it's going to be very much like our conversation today. You're going to have nothing but positive things, and again, that's your experience, and I dig that.
Yeah, I mean, also, I realized, we all screw up.
Sure, we're all human.
Everybody does that. If we don't know that now, then we'll never know it. I mean, look at what's been happening with our governments and stuff.
Oh, sure.
The curtain has been pulled back, and it doesn't look pretty. So, the point I'm making is that, Vinny has screwed up, man. He's done some things that didn't work out, and rubbed somebody the wrong way, or took advantage of something that whatever. But we've all done that. I've done it in different, unique ways.
And I think
so it's like I would like to see him be okay.
Yeah.
And continue to. He's got so much talent, and like I said, I've never had a conversation with Vinny where he wasn't pleasant. He's never aggressive with how he speaks or acts. It's just, I think maybe the business decisions that are made, and anyway.
Who knows? Like I said, I dig the fact that you're keeping it positive. Not everybody's able to do that, and I think it's maybe, and I think that's the reason right there that maybe you might be one of those guys that he would be, maybe one day be willing to reach out to. I mean, I don't know if you've seen a couple of years back, I think it was 2018 when he came out for the first time, like after 20 years, and to talk about Robert, he appeared at the same KISS convention with him, and he was like practically like in tears. He'd seen,
Oh, I know. I saw the whole thing. Well, like I said, Vinny called me. Just right after, what year was it when Carmen Apiece and Tony...
I want to say like 2020 or something like that, like just a couple of years back.
Yeah, well, right after that, when Robert decided not to do it, and Carmen had backed out as well, he contacted me, and I was going to do it, but the contract that he wanted me to sign was insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad.
In the contract, it was literally saying that I would have no right to speak of my time playing with Vinnie Vincent or the KISS. I'm on the KISS family tree. KISS put out a record, KISS Alive 3, where been printed over 1 million times with my name in it. So it's like,
I mean,
I own that.
I get,
it from me now. But Vinnie was like in the contract trying to say that my rights of mentioning anything about anything to do with that would be gone, and I would have to ask his permission when to do interviews. And I'm thinking, this is insanity.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it's kind of an odd thing right there, because like I said, I guess, I don't know, maybe he's just so used to people trying to screw him, or this very sad thing is he seems to screw himself over more than anybody, and I don't know why he'd want to contract with a guy like that.
Ego, and there's bad ego.
Yeah, I mean,
we all need good ego. Ego is a good thing.
Oh, sure. I mean,
it keeps you alive. Actually, it's a defense mechanism. It's survival.
From what I've heard, I don't know if this is true. From what I've heard, that maybe he's got this manager supposedly that gives him not too good of business advice. Obviously, I mean, when you go,
I don't know what it is, man.
When you go on the
paranoia, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, the thing, I'll say this even as a fan, is as great of a talent as I think the guy is. I mean, you go on his website, and albums that were like released 30 years ago, he's selling on his website for $150. And there's no bonus tracks, not a special box set or anything.
Yeah, it sounds odd. I mean, I don't know what to say.
No, you have nothing to do with it. I'm just saying, But
I can tell you that I would have played with him, and I was looking forward to that happening, man. But the contract, I ended up. I mean, I had to tell him I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well,
I actually bowed out from playing with him again, and I was excited about the opportunity.
I don't think even here today talking about it is anything bad. You're just kind of telling people, hey, this is why it didn't work out. I got no ill will towards the guy, and I think that's a cool thing, to be in that, to feel.
Well, man, like I said, everybody makes mistakes.
Oh, sure.
I mean, what's the big deal, man?
Yeah.
That's probably why we're here. We're in a soul school, man.
Yeah, and it's really not hurting you any. I mean, you're still getting to play and record with people, and so you're still doing your thing, and so Andrea, you can tell I'm just loved. I could talk to anybody about music all day. So I'd like to keep in touch, and maybe we could do this again down the line, okay? Because I really
definitely, man. Yes.
Okay, so
good talking to you, man.
Yeah, the interview was that we did. I'm going to post it next week. I'll let you know once I have a date. So take care, Andrea. I'll be in touch.
All right, brother, man. You have a good night.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye.
Chaotic Riffs Magazine.